Looks like it is time to rise up against Negan. Kind of handy that we've got Daryl as our leader. I'm going to have him in his funky dunky stormtrooper gear. God, they look like such dorks wearing that. Not a hero that I often use, but he is going to get us some extra points. So he is our leader. Yumiko is bringing the porcelain pulverizer. Actually, let's mix it up a little bit. We're going to use the Savior handgun. It's a classic for a reason. I just fancy just bringing that along now. And Rosita. Now, this might seem absolutely crazy, but soon I'm going to want to do another hero breakdown, another video where we're going to break down what the heroes can do, who's best, and all of that kind of stuff. I can't do that if I don't know whether they're any good or not. So we're gonna bring her along for a couple of these and just see how she fares. I should really know a lot more about her leadership trait, I suppose. Fighting Fury. Sounds badass. I should really read up and see what it does. I tend to just use Ezekiel when I'm using a bruiser. Or I've got Eugene pretty well flipping, loaded up. I like this whole thing of being able to move and attack. And I'm seeing that there's a little icon there. See that in the bottom sort of left of her portrait, which keeps filling up. So let's keep an eye on that. It's this kind of thing that I would need to be able to actually know about if I'm going to do a little hero video. So it's an extra attack. Okay. I mean, I kind of like that. I think that's a pretty good flipping skill. I'll say that. I'm not going to wade her into a great big massive, or am I? No, I'm not, because she can't reach. So we've got to open the door on the RV. Sorry, I've been talking more about the team composition here than I have the actual mission. We open the RV door after we killed those things. You've seen what comes. It's a couple of tanks, mostly normal walkers. Nothing too crazy. Ranged characters, definitely an option for that kind of thing. Keep them at a distance, take them out. Like I said, I am bringing a melee character. I'm bringing Rosita just so that I can get a bit more of a feel for these characters I haven't used much before I do a video where I say, oh yes, this person's great, this person's terrible. I hadn't made good use of Ezekiel when I did the last one, so I was a little bit lukewarm. And then somebody said, hey, look, load him up with the mace, try him out, see what you think. I did, and he's a great hero. And actually, if anybody has any advice about any particular characters, I would love to hear about it, because I want to compile some information, make it so that the guide is accurate. If there are enemies adjacent to Rosita on her first main attack, she gets an extra attack. She gains an attack for each adjacent walker up to 1, and 2 if she's the leader. Does 33%. Choose to move away for half of the action instead of dealing the extra attacks. Okay, so it's complicated. As a leader, all melee classes gain this bonus. Love to actually have maybe a couple of weekly challenges where we're going to have characters like Beth, Tyrese, Herschel, some of these characters that I don't use too much. I mean, this is actually somewhere where she might be useful. Because look, we can... Oh. Okay, that wasn't an extra attack. Alright. Okay, I'm going to have to really get to grips with how this here leadership trait works, because I'm a little bit confused. So yeah, I can move. That's great for a melee character. Anyway, this is Those stereos will drive you nuts. This is going to be a tricky one. You've got some dark corners. You've got some surprises. You've got walkers jumping out at you. You've got to go to those stereos and turn them off. It's a tricky one. You've got to advance fast enough that you don't get caught by these guys behind you. But you can't rush because you could easily find yourself facing something like that. Okay, so we got an extra attack there. I guess that's because that tank was still alive. Okay, she can't quite reach there, but I mean, really, you could do a lot of attacks and do a lot of movement as well. Movement is just a wonderful thing to have for your characters. It really is a key thing. Anyway, I'm still talking more about Rosita than I am about the mission. So that one, maybe bring Ezekiel if you've got the mace. Anything comes around the corner, he bats it away, because you're not going to be able to see the whole of that map. It's just a lot of it is going to be obscured. It is a tough mission. You're going to want primed. You're going to want to be able to get off some defensive shooting when it's their turn. That kind of thing. It's tricky. It is a tricky mission. If you've got any specific questions, then please do ask. Boombox, kill the noise and kill all the walkers. Okay. Okay. What else am I going to do? Merle. Ugh. This is interesting because this is definitely somewhere where Glenn can be useful. This is where Michonne can be useful. This is where Beta can be useful. I'm gonna bring him along just because this is a crazy flipping team up. You can. Oh, who did I do it with? I think it might have been Glenn. You can do this essentially in one turn. It's a tricky one. It is definitely a tricky mission. Right, what does this mean? Can Rosita attack? No. So she gains an attack if someone is still adjacent. So I guess somebody really has to still be alive for her to be able to do that part of her leadership trait. New Walker's going to flood in. I might do another quick walkthrough of this because you can do it in one go with Glenn. It's definitely got to be Glenn. I think he might have to have the sawtooth blade because then you can kill something and then move on. Obviously, they have, scouts have great movement as well. Okay, there you go. I think this is going to be a tough one. I think these are pretty tough missions. So they're just going to keep on coming in until you do that. This is one where it would be handy to know if anyone's got any absolutely killer tips. Besides that whole Glenn can get to and switch off the stereo in one turn. I know that he can because I've done it before. They're all pretty well packed, so maybe weapons with area effect are going to be pretty good. Anything with a blast pattern that can hit multiple enemies all at one time. Setting them light is kind of helpful, but that takes some time to work. Stuff that will stun the enemy. You might be able to cripple and root them, but you've got to kind of run towards them to get to the car. So you need to be KOing them. Kill the spiked walkers and get out. Spiked walkers. Oof. Okay, I'm going to use the giant teacup, just because that can cripple things. Still bringing Rosita along for the laughs. I'm going to continue to use characters that I wouldn't ordinarily use. Now, I'm guessing if I kill these guys, I can kill this guy. And I can. Right, got it. I see how that works. Well, ish. I can blag it. I think that when we kill... Yeah, see, when we kill that Spiky Walker, another one appears... Daryl, it would be very nice for you to set him alight. Daryl, by the way, is just simply not a very good leader. His abilities are not really up to scratch. He's, you know, so use him to get some extra stars than you otherwise would do for completing the weekly missions, but you know, he just ain't that great. Now, if I go here... Yeah, right, got it. I get how that works, definitely. Yeah, I can't then attack again. Okay, fine. What do you reckon to Rosita? Has anyone used her to great effect? I mean, she looks pretty useful. So Spikies, especially when they get tough, that is when Incendiary helps. I think being able to cripple and slow down walkers, it's a pretty small, enclosed, tight environment that you're in there. Could be helpful. You saw that there's a threat counter as well. Do you have any silent weapons or weapons that reduce threat? They might be useful. Okay, what is next? Beach life. Get off the beach. So, yeah, we've got some pretty lengthy sort of missions right here. I'm going to make a swiftly swap to Tyrese. I know is actually pretty flipping good. I don't often use Beth. I really don't use Beth very often. I think that she, whether she is actually a great character or not, is up for debate. Do I want to use Sawtooth Blade? Yeah. I can't remember if there's a threat counter on this mission. If there is, I don't want it bumping up any more than it has to. Yeah, there is a threat counter. Okay. So there we go. There's that strange sort of circle of whatever that Beth can emit. Okay. And we're back. Just paused it very quickly. Yeah, this is based on pretty much the worst episode of the show. Do you remember when Tara went walking around and discovered Oceanside and it was really boring? Yeah. I think this is broadly what that is based on, if I recall. No, don't want to do that. Boom. Yeah, so that area of effect is pretty good, and if I recall, it means that we get to... It reduces their damage or something like that. Again, this is another character where I'll have to read up on her skill, try to use it, and then we'll get to see how effective and useful she is. So, yeah, tough one. You've got walkers just coming out of every flipping sand pile there. You've got a threat counter as well. You've got a goo, which you're going to have to deal with. Easy to get surrounded. It's a tough mission. Slow them down, set them light. I mean, you're surrounded and you've got to get to the exit. It's tough. It's tough. It is, and there's no two ways about it. Okay, we've got one more mission in this set. Graveyard shift, kill all the walkers. Well, okay, that's kind of something we can get behind. Let's try... Kind of would seem fitting that she has Daryl's hunting knife. I like Interrupter. I like Tactical. After attacking if they did not move. Yeah, I can see why it's got Interrupter and I can see why it's got Tactical. Those two traits seem to go together well. Because that would be something else to add. You know, what are the best weapons to use when I'm sort of doing that that video. I want to see... Yeah, so that's the Tactical kicking in. I want to see Interrupter work. Okay. Yumiko just saved her butt. Alright. Oof, that's some big old damage. So I'm hoping that the primed kicks in for Beth. Kind of didn't look like it was gonna. Had to get saved by Yumiko again. So there you go. That one's short and sweet. It's a kill all walkers, but they're not all starting on the map. They flood in as the mission continues. That is a distinct challenge. This is a tough set. It's a tough set of missions. It's going to get harder as difficulty goes up. They're quite lengthy. Some missions are very snappy and you know, these you're going to be taking a couple of turns to complete each one. Definitely, there's a lot of traveling in there. There's some surprises along the way. Negan, the Wario of The Walking Dead, is really putting up a challenge with these ones. So if anybody's got any tips or if anybody needs any help, please do ask. Let me know how you do. And as ever, thank you for watching.